You know, these lies, this bullshit that is surrounding this 1958, this 1959, this 1960 Les Paul, it's been going on for decades. This myth, this hoax, this lie has been going on literally for decades. And I'm saying that, and there's people, my comments go, whoa, whoa, what do you mean? Who's saying this? What? Here's another person saying it. Music Emporium. The Music Emporium, been in business 56 years. Oh, by the way, I have a sound demo in this video of me playing my guitar, which I think sounds better than any 59 I've ever heard. Okay. I have a sound demo of it compared to a 1959. And, with all this hype in this article, I might actually do a sound demo where I imitate this dude. But anyway, listen to what they say. A legendary 59 Gibson Les Paul, a burst, comes into our store and shatters our expectations. So it's even better than the legend. It's everything you hope it's going to be. It's more somehow. See, I love the fact that when people are describing this guitar, they always say, well, it's just better, exceeded our expectations. It's more. Well, how is it more? Somehow. Well, how exactly? Well, it just is. The 59, it's just so great. No, it's not. No, it's not. Like I said, the sound demo, I'm gonna put a sound demo up in this video showing you so you can hear the proof. I have the proof that it's not that great. I have the proof. See, online you can actually hear these guitars. And like I said, I might go back and actually imitate this dude. He's a really good player. His name's Duke Levine. I might go back and imitate this dude with this 59 that's so great. Anyway, it's more somehow. Is that hype? Yeah, it's hype, guys. It's 100% hype. All right. Years, no, decades of building up a reputation as being the pinnacle electric. It's all of it, really. So they're claiming this. See, I'm saying I've been hearing this for decades. And there's people in my comments going, well, why? What do you mean? Here's a music shop. They deal in guitars. They've been in business for 50 something years and they've heard it for decades. So somebody's saying it. Okay. And who's saying it? People trying to sell this guitar as being a pinnacle guitar. It ain't a pinnacle electric guitar. Pinnacle means it's the best guitar. It's the highest guitar you could ever have made, ever. No guitar has ever been. That's the pinnacle of guitars. Is a 1959 Gibson Les Paul, and it's bullshit. But not to them, of course. Why? Because they have one they're selling for 350K, 375K. I couldn't find the price, but believe me, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've seen other ones sell for 350, 375. So this is the hype. This is the lie that it's so great, that this guitar is so fantastic. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put in the sound clip right here of me playing my modern day guitar. It's a traditional. I love the Les Paul traditional series. I love it. I love those guitars. Um, because I have a big hand, so I like the neck of the traditional, you know. Um, I also love the sound of the traditional, you know. Um, and obviously the traditional is made more like, a 59 or a 60, which what I'm saying is, I'm not saying the 59 is a bad guitar. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's an ugly guitar, it's a piece of garbage. No, I'm saying it's not the pinnacle of electric guitars. I'm saying it's not the best guitar ever made. You know why? Because I have one that sounds better than any 59 I've ever heard. So how is your guitar the pinnacle of guitars when mine sounds better than yours? It can't be. Your guitar can't be the pinnacle if mine sounds better than yours. Mine probably plays better. It probably feels better. And in my opinion, it looks better. I love the paint job on my guitar. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's as good as this guitar, certainly. Anyway, let me tell you about this demo, right? Okay. So the guy has a real 59. It's not this guy, it's another guy. He has a real 59. Okay. And he's plugging it into, of course, this is another thing they do. They plug it into the most ridiculous amps. You could knit, you're paying $4,000 for the amp. This amp he plugs into is it's a $5,000 amp, boutique hand wired amp. You could plug in any guitar into this amp, it would sound fantastic. Okay. Anyway, he plugs the 59 into the amp. Okay. So now here's what I did. I plugged in my guitar, my Les Paul, and I learned what he played, and then I played it kind of like him with my sound, imitating him to see how close I could get to this mythical guitar, to see how close just a normal human being, right? Just some dude sitting in his mom's basement could get to these mythical 1959 guitars that are being traded for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some moron like me is trying to get, trying to get by in life. See how close my guitar, which I think sounds better, by the way. In this demo, it proves it. Okay. Now, I don't want you to pick out the better sounding guitar. I don't want you to pick out, this is not Find the 59. Okay. This is to ask you, how much difference is there in the sound? How much difference is there in the sound? Because the price disparity is absolutely staggering. Staggering. My guitar costs $1,800 used, which is still a pretty good amount to pay for a guitar. This guitar is $350,000. It's literally, what is that, 200 times the price? 200 times as expensive as my guitar? And is it 200 times better? Is okay? So, using this idea that this guitar is $350,000 because it's the pinnacle guitar, it would be that much better. You're paying for the fact that it's that much better. And I love it when people say, oh, you're paying for the historical value. No, you're not, because a 53 is historical, a 54 is historical, a 55 is historical, a 56 is historical. They're not $350,000. Here's a 1953 right here. 14 grand. Why is this not historical? It is historical. So it's not the historical significance that people are paying for. It's this idea, once again, the hype, decades of building up your reputation as being the pinnacle electric. The electric guitar by which all others are measured. And I'm saying that's bullshit, because I have a guitar that sounds better than their guitar. And I prove it on this recording. Now, like I was saying, he's plugging into a $5,000 amp. Okay. So here's the disparities in the video that could account for the small, there's a tiny difference. And I'm not making excuses, because you can listen to it and hear how close they are. They are close, man. They are close. And here are some differences just physically. First off, he's plugging into an amp. I'm using an amp modeler. I'm not even using a real amp here in this video. Okay. In this sound example, he's using an amp, and that amp is expensive. It's a hand wired $5,000 amp. Okay. Now, in my amp modeler, which I'm using, there was not a capture of that amp. I had to use a different amp. So not only am I using a modeler, I'm using a different modeled amp. Pick. He's probably not using the same pick as I use. I use a Fender Heavy just because that's what I figure he might be closest to what he's doing. He could be using a jazz pick. He could be using any number of picks, Tortex, anything. He could be using a Fender Medium, which is very common. So I just pulled out like a plastic Fender Heavy and said, well, try to get it close enough. Strings. We don't use the same gauge strings, guaranteed. I use a custom gauge string. I formulated a custom gauge string for me that I love, that I have to custom order. Guaranteed doesn't have them. Okay. And then furthermore, he's probably using new strings. I never change my strings. I love the sound of like dead old strings. I never change my strings. They probably changed the strings that day for the demo. And lastly, we have technique, the way that he plays it. I had to go through it a couple times to like get his, because he's kind of palm muting part of it, and he's kind of popping out some other notes. So not only did I have to learn the lick, I had to like learn his technique on how he was doing it. And I guarantee I'm not getting it 100% right. Like my technique is not perfectly matched with his technique. Nobody's is. So think about all these disparities that you have in my recording to his recording, and listen how close it sounds. Listen how, if this thing was a Pinnacle guitar, it would just be blowing some moron like me out of the water. I'm just some moron with an $1,800 guitar and an amp modeler. And your guitar is a $350,000 untouchable Pinnacle Les Paul. You should be miles ahead of me. And it's not. Here it is. Now, come on. I'm not asking you which one's better. I'm asking you, how close are they? 5%? 10%? How much better is the one sound than the other one? And by the way, you might be picking my sound that's better. You might be picking my guitar being better. And how much better is it? If this 59 Les Paul, this $350,000 guitar is the Pinnacle, it's the guitar, it's the Holy Grail, it's the one by all those measures, it's untouchable, it cannot be replicated, it's the best in the world. How come I can get a sound? How much better is it? It ain't this much better. Even if it is, that ain't enough to justify a $350,000 price tag. I mean, I'm actually thinking about ordering the cheapest guitar on Amazon and comparing it to a 59. Can you imagine if I ordered the cheapest guitar off of Amazon and then learned this guy's licks and played it through an amp modeler and had it come close to a 59? Can you imagine that? Well, as stated, I mean, you heard it. There's the proof. They're sitting here saying it's a Pinnacle guitar. You know, it shatters our expectation. It has a Pinnacle electric reputation. It's the guitar by which all others are measured. It's mythical. That's all they got. I've got a sound demo that you just heard. I've got sonic proof that 59 is not that great. I mean, it's a good guitar. I'm not saying it's a bad guitar. I'm just saying it ain't that pinnacle. It ain't the end all be all. It's not a holy grail. It's not something that could never be ever replicated again. It's a guitar.